Exciting.
Hey guys, welcome to live. Shlomit's gonna sing us a few bars now. Maybe we'll see how excited she gets. And we have here Shachar Shamai. So excited to have him. I've heard a lot about you, Shachar. I know Shlomit and you go way back. So I'm gonna let you guys have an awesome time, and I will be here. And everybody enjoy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Steve. Shachar!
Hello, מה קורה?
מה נשמע?
How are you?
I'm fine. We had a couple crazy days here, but please God, everything's well. And what about you? How's everything happening back there in London?
You know what? It's just really good to see you and kind of like be reminded of home. Here it's still in a lockdown. Nothing is opened yet. And I'm just literally on this chair from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to sleep. I mean, like my piano is right here, so I don't need to go anywhere. Just like that's it. That's my office, my everything, really.
Wow, that's amazing. And how have you been keeping busy through this period? Like, I know that you teach voice. You're an amazing vocal teacher. So other than teaching voice, what else did you do or keep yourself busy with? Did you hear? Oh my God, I don't know if you hear me. Shachar, אתה שומע אותי? One second, guys.
Shlomi, I'll just apologize that my connection is sometimes a little bit rubbish. So if I'm just lagging a little bit, you'll have to bear with me a little bit.
Okay, just as long. I just want to make sure that I
passed.
passed.
Problem with keeping busy. I'm always like creative, and I do quite a lot of stuff. Yeah, I'm hearing. Yeah, and I'm totally with you. I just started answering your question. I think maybe now it's you.
I don't know. So just start answering, and Maxim, if you don't hear me, Maxim, I'll write you some questions in private. By the way, if anyone has questions for Shachar, you're more than welcome. No, shit. Phoebe, can I not be heard?
All right. I hear you. I hear Shachar. There seems to be a little bit of a delay with you guys. Who can hear me?
I can hear you.
I can hear you perfectly.
Can you hear Shlomi? And you don't hear Shlomi?
But I'm hearing Shlomi really, really delayed and cut off.
Okay, great. So Shlomi, why don't you tell me the questions that you wanted to ask? I'll be the conduit.
But I can't hear Shlomit properly. I don't know why.
So it's gonna be like one of those old days where CB is taking over, being the lead answer person.
The lead interviewer. I'm still doing that. We have a few awesome people coming up in the next few weeks, and it's really exciting that Shlomit, you've joined me in this project, because you're bringing in such amazing people too, like Shachar here.
Do you think it's me? If it's me, I can try to go back on my computer.
Do you hear me?
This is so annoying. I'm sorry, guys.
Shachar, have you heard me this whole time?
But no, Shlomit, I want you online with me. Come
on. So should we try to reconnect and then go online again? Okay. So sorry, guys.
Shachar, why don't we try to reconnect? Maybe it's the UK. They're 3 hours behind, so
2 hours.
It could be that lag happening too. Here, I'm gonna. So for me, while we're waiting for Shachar, how do you guys know each other?
Well, I know Shachar through the academy, but I think I know him actually from
Shlomit, I
Little
can
Night.
kind of hear you here and
Can you
there.
hear? I don't. CB, I recommend to restart this interview.
The
Maybe
whole.
we need to. Maybe I don't know.
Well, if I end the broadcast, I don't know if I'll be able to restart it again. But
I'm here, guys.
yeah.
Okay. No, wait. No.
But,
I'm gonna try from my computer again. Let's see how
yeah.
that works. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah, let's try that.
Live Technica.
As we say, this happens. It happens on Broadway. It happens everywhere.
It happens everywhere.
There you go. Can you hear us
We're
now?
gonna be troopers. Can you
Let's see
hear
if
us?
that's any better. Let me just.
Okay, בוא
Okay,
נעשה
how's that?
משחק. תרים
Yes.
יד ואתה שומע אותי.
I can.
Okay.
Okay.
But you didn't raise your
Yay.
hand. Uh-oh.
Okay, so there is a delay, but you can hear me. Okay, great.
Yeah,
So,
okay, cool. So
awesome.
I did.
Continue on.
I did. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so Shachar, CB asked a great question, and I'm just gonna let
guys,
you.
we can do it. We can do it.
We can. CB asked me, and I'm gonna leave it to you because then you can start to connect it to your journey to London. How did we meet? How did everything start for you?
We met somewhere along the lines of you auditioning to one of the shows. Maybe Annie Get Your Gun? I saw you waiting in line for the audition or something like that. Could that be?
Maybe. But I thought I know you from Little Night, or Little Night was after Annie.
No, it was right before, but I don't think we actually met on Little Night, did we?
I was like helping backstage and everything, but it could be that we didn't necessarily like form friendship or something from there. Like I think that
could very much be, yeah.
Because like Annie Get Your Gun was when I knew you a little more, and also the Academy helped a lot. So I think.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure. I think maybe Little Night Music was already after I graduated, but I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, it was I was still around, you know. It's Jerusalem musical theater scene and classical singing scene, which is even smaller, I think. So yeah, here we are. Mm-hmm. I think you were still studying to be a teacher.
No, I was still studying in the music education. I think I was still relatively in the beginning. Like I wasn't even accepted to the performance route. So yeah, teacher, you're right. I'm like, what teacher? Yeah, to be a music teacher. That's right. Your memory is better than mine. Yeah. Cool. So
I remember people's stories, but I don't remember my own.
Okay, let me help you a bit. So you studied in the academy. You did also masters in the academy, and you did it in cabaret, which is pretty cool, I might say. That inside the classical department, you did it in cabaret style.
It's not entirely, yeah. Well, in classical singing masters, you can sing whatever you want as long as you're using a classical technique. I wasn't really doing cabaret.
Okay, I'm just writing it down. I'm writing it down. I'm allowed to sing it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, it might have changed since, you know, they keep changing things. But I really wanted to work on my English, so I decided on my first year in the masters, to only do English and American composers. So it was all in English, and I think that's what was unique about it, and that's why maybe you remember it as a cabaret. For me, it was just another recital, you know, but it was quite groundbreaking at the time, I think, because no one did anything like that before. But for the graduation recital, I actually did a lot of opera and lieder and all of those things that everyone does. So, but quite a lot of musical theater in there. Always.
How did you start in musical theater? How did you get to become a part of the community? Like,
I think I started by seeing one of Israel Lutnik's posts, and I applied for a vita, which was actually the first thing I did in this community.
Hmm.
So I did a vita, and I actually did another show with him, which I don't remember its name, but it was like songs from Broadway, kind of like around the world.
Mhm.
And with only, I think it was like six of us with Shani and with Kfir uh, and Meital Segal.
Mhm.
It was fun. Um, so yeah, that's how it began. And I think also I had an English speaking teacher before I moved to Anat. So I kind of like started feeling all right with talking English all the time. And then the community even helped me more with that. And obviously with performing musical theater, which is something I always wanted to do. When I was a child, I was in like Leakat Noir,
Mhm.
youth group, and we did some contemporary, like original musicals that were written for us as a group, but obviously it was in Hebrew. And I was so shy, and I was only interested in the singing bit, and I didn't want to perform as much, and I would ask to be in the last row, you know. I was never like a big performer. I was just much more interested in singing and expressing myself as a singer, but not as much as a dancer. But
Mhm.
slowly through performing more and more and performing in the community, and then also working privately with Lisa Ben Yehuda and with Avichai, uh, I kind of like gained a little bit more confidence, and it led me to believe that I can actually apply to schools abroad, and that's what I did, and that's how I eventually found myself here in England. I applied for, I think, four schools. I got into three out of the four, which was really exciting. And eventually, I chose to study in Guildford, which is outside of London.
Mhm.
Uh, that was another, like my second master's. And that was the first time I really delved into the world of musical theater.
What was your experience there like? What was the difference from there to like your experience in the academy? Like I know there are different tchumim, there are different fields, but still like what is the difference from what do you experience in the teaching there towards the teaching here?
Oh, it was quite shocking, to be honest, the transition, because the training here is nothing like the academy in Jerusalem, because it's just so full on. It's more like a drama school training, and then you just spend the whole day from, let's say, 8 till 5 6, sometimes longer if you have to stay and practice and stay and rehearse with your colleagues, uh, doing at least one dance lesson a day, at least one acting lesson a day, and different projects throughout the year that changed according to the module you're on. And it was so like intense and
Mm-hmm.
tiring. I remember constantly being in pain, muscle pain,
Yeah.
constantly. Honestly, Shlomit, there's a song by I think it's like well, I need to check it. I think it's Kender and Ab, but it's called Pain, and it goes, "Why don't they mention the pain?" And it's about the pain that you have as a dancer, and no one speaks about it. I think they're just loving the pain. They don't
Oh,
regard it as something bad. For me, it was like, I can't move. So yeah, that was my year. In
wow.
terms of the singing, in the first, let's say, 2 months or so, maybe even a little bit less, we really were taught the mechanism of our vocal instrument, which we were never taught in the academy in Jerusalem. I think this may have changed since. I think they kind of like introduced it, and now they are teaching that. But
So
I graduated with a master's in the academy in Jerusalem, and I never knew anything about my larynx and about all the muscles that are involved.
hmm yeah, so they actually now in our department, for example, beforehand.
Go ahead there, Shlomi. Sorry, I because I'm lagging, I'm probably cutting you off all the time.
No, not at all. You're amazing. And I'm just saying that, like, you were asking about what's happening here in Israel. So, like, Ofer Kalaf for a couple of years did a course about that in the Rav Tchumi. And now Larissa is actually starting as a prototype lesson this year with us classical singers. And it's very interesting to, like, see how it's like, it really gives us a chance to, like, we're not just singers, we're athletes. We need to understand what we're going through. What is all the stuff that we're incorporating? It's not like using your pipes. Like, it's more into it. So it was a very wild, world-opening experience. So, yeah. So did you study? I know that you're a voice teacher, as we mentioned at the beginning. Did you, I don't remember where you did the certificate, but did you do it while you were doing the master's or or like as a separate route? Like how did you become a voice teacher? Maybe that's my question.
And well, there's a very good question. Also makes me laugh because actually, there is no certificate, not in Israel, and also not here, that exists that you are required to have in order to be a singing teacher. I started teaching when I was in my first degree, in my bachelor degree, 11 years ago, and well, I knew a lot less than I know now, but I still knew a lot more than my students back then. And I think the only reason I kind of feel like I can make a career as a singing teacher is that because I keep learning, keep evolving when I go along. And I did do a few courses in teaching as well as just, the 2 master's degrees that I have. But it's just a world that we kind of continuously keep discovering about. And the research is tremendous and it's very current. It's happening all the time, and we discover new things. And so that's my way to become a singing teacher. There's no real certificate in order to be a private singing teacher, and also in the academies actually. But if you want to be a teacher in schools, then that's a different story. But I was never kind of going that route. I was more into teaching adults and professionals.
Mm-hmm. Well, you teach musical theater, right? Like that, like style, musical theater style, which is requiring belting, legit. From your studies or experience, can you like give us just like a very limited, I know that's like a very long time process to learn and like understand it, but like just a brief understanding of what is like the difference from legit to classical or legit to belt, or just for people who don't know those terms. Like, how would you, like, as a voice teacher, how would you like address your student towards these?
I think the borders between those things are very, very flexible, and also it depends on the person that's in front of you. And you can hear an opera singer singing something that we will call legit. So is it legit or is it opera? He's an opera singer, but he's singing something that is legit. So it's just like, and also in America, for example, when you talk about belting, you don't necessarily say or mean the same thing that you mean when you talk about belting in the UK, which is really interesting. Yeah. So belting, from the limited amount that I understand from the American jargon, is just basically singing really loud, and just really powerful singing. And in the UK, I think it's usually addressed as belting only if you are singing in your what we call chest voice or model. So yeah, there's different names for it, but it's a specific register. So you see that those terms are very, very problematic. But the way I like to think about it is with colors, really. And I think for me it's easier to describe opera singing as darker,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not the first one to do that. As darker, and belting or contemporary singing as brighter, and then we can start to talk about how do we achieve those colors. What do we do in order to achieve that darkness or that brightness? And there's so many little different things that we can do in order to achieve those. So it's that's a question that would be a little bit harder to answer. I can if we want to, but that
Yeah.
would probably take another like 25 minutes.
CB, a shout out for that. We're not gonna get that time, unfortunately. But there was a great question by Toby. Do you believe that almost anyone can be taught to sing, not professionally, but at some level? Like, I know my belief, but I wonder, like, what's your belief? Like, great question, by the way, Toby. Thank you.
Also a very good question. So I've been teaching. Yeah, thank you, Toby. I've been teaching for a long, long, long time, and and I saw a lot of voices, and I also here in the UK, I sometimes see 200 students a week because the timing that we get with each student and the slot of time that they get is so limited. Sometimes it's just 20 minutes, so I have to see 20 students a day.
Wow.
And I think from my experience, I only met one person that it's and also that I decided to not teach anymore. And honestly, I can't say that this person could not be taught to sing, but I felt a little bit bad for that person because she came to me after 2 years of studying, and when a student tells you that, you expect a certain level, but you couldn't hit the right notes for 3 months, no matter what I did with her. And I just felt like it's not that I can't work with her, but I just wanted her to be a little bit more realistic towards where she is, because she does introduce herself as someone who knows how to sing at least relatively okay. So I felt the integrity to tell my boss, look, this person needs to go and study, maybe to play an instrument first and develop his hearing before he goes back to singing, because there's some disconnect right now. And maybe this can be solved in another way. But again, I'm not entirely sure she couldn't be taught to sing. So everyone can be taught to sing. And I think singing is great. It's also really, really good for your health and your mood. And it's just joy. So everyone should do that for sure.
I 100% agree. And I actually really like what you just said about, like, just because you sing doesn't mean you cannot be introduced to an instrument, even if you're not becoming a professional in that instrument. Sometimes it's a question of coordination. Like, I remember my first instrument was just organ. Like, I did not play piano, but like just to know like a do, re, mi. And like slowly after that, I played recorder. And I think by being infused with sound, with notes, I was being able to be introduced to those notes. So I think that that's a really
Absolutely.
great way to tackle a situation if you might have someone who might not figure the pitch. So Toby asked for my answer. So I'm kind of like in the same mind with Shachar. I believe that everyone can sing. However, what is the definition of singing? That's where I think we all might be different. I think for me, like I went into a summer camp where one of the kids was, what I consider not a singer, but he was such a great performer and he understood the piece. He got the dentist. So the dentist, you don't need to be a singer, but you need to carry like a tune in one way, carry a certain rhythm. And he was able to do it so well that for me, it just said that singing is more. just because I might be training as a classical singer doesn't mean that someone else cannot. Okay, so maybe not classical, maybe country, maybe belting, maybe it's more like, indie music. Like, we can still find what type of music you can sing. There's so much you can create, a whole world, and it's just basically by using your voice. And I think that, like, as Shachar, what he said, it's so good for us. It's a connection to our feelings. It's a connection to our soul. It's good for us. It works your abs, just for your knowledge. And I'm just saying that I very much also there. I feel that everyone can sing. Some people might take longer, like myself. It took me very long to get to where I was. And some people might have it get it to there easier. But it doesn't mean that we should stop. Sometimes we need to know, how can we help this person? Maybe we need to go a different route. So I think by playing an instrument, it's a very interesting and new way to tackle it. So thank you so much for that. I kind of wanted to ask, what's your favorite drill, like vocal, like exercise you like to bring to people, or like, find yourself doing, like when you're bored? I don't know.
Honestly, I don't have one.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I have to say, I am. So as I said, I see a lot of people, and because the really little amount of time that I get, usually I ask them to already come warm, and then they just start singing. They get in the room, they tell me what they're singing, and they're singing, and then once they start singing, I know exactly which exercise I want to do with them, because I know which problem I need to solve. But it's not like, okay, let's develop your voice and make tons of vocalizations, because we don't have the time for that. And it's not like I'm saying that you shouldn't practice and you shouldn't do those exercises. You definitely should, but not necessarily in class. So what I usually do, so we work on a song, I give them a few exercises, I make sure that they understand and that they feel, which is the most important thing, feel what I want them to feel. And then I'm saying, now your work is to do it at home every day, all day long. So next lesson, you will be already there. And the most annoying thing is that when people don't, and they come and they're still there, and you need to do the same thing all over again, that's for me a little bit of a because I just don't get challenged anymore, and I feel like the student can't be asked to actually do the work, and I can't do it for him. And I think if you ask me about the differences between England and Israel, is a little bit different. I think that because of the shorter amount of time, students are encouraged to be a little bit more in charge of their own progress. And the teacher is a mentor. He's giving ideas, giving advices. He's an external ear, which we all need. He knows how to solve problems, but he can't build muscles. And in Israel, I felt like, as a student, at least, I know that other students are a lot better than I, but I was always a little bit scattered, and I did a lot of different things, and not always, practiced. I practiced a lot in my brain. I practiced a lot about thinking about singing and feeling it. And I remember doing a breathing exercise once on the bus. And I think that I was a soldier still. And honestly, I'm so sorry for the lady next to me, because I honestly don't know what she thought is going on. But I was just so focused on and curious, and I was constantly curious to know. So I was just going like, I don't recommend to do it in a bus that is full with other people that don't know you. But yeah,
don't do this either. Don't do that either with the spitting, especially now.
Exactly, especially not in Corona time. But since you mentioned that exercise, this is definitely one of the best exercises. But I want to talk about it as a whole. It's not just specifically this one. is a bunch of exercises called SOVT. I think we spoke about it before, Shlomit.
It could be.
SOVT is a short for a semi-occluded vocal tract, which is everything that blocks the airway out of your mouth. So it could be brr, so the lips is blocking, or brr, so the tongue and the lips is blocking, or it could be s, so it happens a little bit further back in your mouth, or it could be a voice consonants, v, z, zh, all of those, ng. But also there's the straw exercise that has been proven quite beneficial. So I do go back to that when we have a little bit of a problem. So yeah, that's a good one.
Amazing. I would like to now go to a different side of your amazing craft. So aside as a vocal teacher, you're also a writer. First of all, you and David Jamal created together the Jewish Cabaret. And also you wrote together, first of all, in school, you wrote a musical as a part of your MA. I would like to maybe share how was that experience for you, and then how it like slowly immersed you together with David, and then Cafe Named Desire, which was your latest musical together, which I happened to see, and I really loved it. I thought it was very touching. So if you can like sum that experience in a way, like.
Yeah, absolutely. As a kid, I always kind of like were fascinated by music and by songs. And I remember particularly trying to write a song and trying to make it very complicated, because I really admired like Sasha Gov and Yoni Rechter.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember saying to myself, one day when I study more, I will have the tools and I won't embarrass myself. And you know what? I'm really sad that it happened, because I wish I kept on writing since that moment on. But what unleashed the writing for me was exactly like you said, is my MA in Guildford. And in the MA, we had a module of writing a musical. And so we had to face it. We had to write. And I wrote a few songs for that show. It was called Date.com. It was about dating online. And I wrote a few songs that people still remember till today. I just had someone reminded to me the other day. I think it was like literally yesterday. One of the teachers wrote me an email, and then I heard that he still remembers that song, and that song was called 8 Gay Jews in London. So it started by basically me, and we all gave each other like research tasks, and my task was to go on JDate, or was it something else for Jews? It wasn't JDate.
J-Swipe?
Yeah, JDate. No, it was JDate. It was before the age of J-Swipe, because we have a J-Swipe song in our new musical, so it's a bit confusing now.
That is true.
Anyways, it was JDate, and I went online, and literally there weren't too many gay Jews on it, and obviously they were all on Grindr and Tinder, but that's what I told them. Look, I went on that app that I was supposed to go on, and I only found 8 people. So they're like, here you go, that's your song. So I was forced to write that, and it became a hit. People started singing it to me in our school and in our corridors, and then they asked me to also perform it in my showcase, which was really, really fun, with the whole company, with me on a chair like a bar mitzvah boy. It was hilarious. So that was one of the first experiences as a grown-up writing songs, and it gave me such a boost of confidence to just keep writing. And also I really, really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the process. So I started writing more, and I knew that David has graduated 1 year before me, and we met actually during Little Night Music. I went to Maya Pennington's house, who's a dear friend of mine, but we actually kind of started working together on Little Night Music, and she played my wife, and David was there, and they just had a little chat because they're friends. And then that's how basically Maya introduced me to David. And then when David graduated and I graduated and we both met in London, I told him that I really wanted to start writing more, and he was like, "Oh my God, I want to do that too." And then we came up with this idea of writing a show for Purim. It was just before Purim. I think it was January, and we said, "What's the nearest Jewish holiday?" We opened the calendar, we saw Purim, and said, "That's perfect to write a musical for, or like a musical performance for, because it's fun." And that's how we started working together. And now we've been working for, I don't know, 3.5 years, I think, together. And we wrote a musical. We're developing another one. We wrote quite a few cabaret, like we performed quite a few cabarets. So that's been part of our journey.
That's amazing. Could you please tell, for whoever does not know Cafe Named Desire a bit, what is it about? How was the experience by writing it? What was your what was the thing you wanted to put in focus while writing it? Like, why write Cafe Named Desire?
And this show has been through all sorts of like a very interesting process. So after performing a few shows that we've written ourselves, I really wanted to go back to creating something in a devised process with other actors, because that's what we did in date.com, and I felt that this experience was really, really positive for me. And David was also intrigued by it. And I remember that we just decided we're gonna cast a cast of 10 actors, 5 male actors and 5 females. When I wasn't supposed to be in it, I decided to take a step back from performing and just focus on the writing, focus on the producing. There's so much, and directing. There was so much to do that I felt like a little bit overwhelmed, and I'm really happy I did that. And that's how it started. So we started casting people, and we started meeting, and we decided that the show is going to be about love, but we wanted it to be about like one of our pieces in the show says, a different kind of love, something that we don't see usually on stage. And that's how we kind of like took it a bit closer to home, and we have a lot of LGBTQ content, and we have all sorts of identities colliding in this show, and basically facing change. And that's what makes drama. So the show originally started as something that was just meant to be a review that maybe would have supposed to have some original songs, but by creating this process, we gave all sorts of activities to the actors, and we kind of like started improvising in the room, and all sorts of ideas emerged, and people came out with ideas for characters as part of the task that we gave them. And we basically took some of the characters, creates a scenario and an arc of a story, and we saw a musical in front of us that was just being waiting to be written. And a month later, we had the first draft of the musical written. We literally wrote tirelessly without any stop. I remember walking in the street, coming up with an idea for a song. I took my phone, I put on record mode, and I hummed it to myself while I'm walking in the street. And then I'm sending it to David, and I know that he would like burst out laughing because it sounded horrendous, but he also really liked the idea. It's me singing in my head voice because I don't want to really be loud. So I'm like that and sending it to him. So it was fun times. And that's how we ended up having a show about a lot of different characters. We have an older couple that is very sex positive and talking about their attraction to each other. We have an Orthodox female character that is facing her as her identity as gay and wanting to come out, and she's from a strict Orthodox background. We have a gay couple that is struggling with monogamy, so they're kind of like thinking about opening their relationship and eventually ending up in a throuple, which we kind of wanted to explore. We kind of saw that as a very romantic way to kind of like end the piece with an option that we can be in a relationship that involves more than just one more person. And so that's how we worked it. Yeah, quite crazy. And since then, it's been evolved a few times. We came with it to Israel, and I think that's when you saw it, and that was like the second iteration of the show. And since then, we've been kind of like rewriting quite a lot. We have a director attached to the show, and we were planning to produce it again this summer, but Corona happened. So now we're developing new materials, and we are kind of like I think we've been quite creative lately with this Corona craziness around us, because we are literally stuck at home, and we see everything that happens in the world, and I think it just evokes a lot of creativity.
Wow, that's amazing.
I already forgot your question. I hope I answered it.
You answered it. You answered it beautifully. Because we're really short of time, I wanted to ask you one last question, which is, what's your advice for the new beginner, for someone who is first introducing himself to the performance world, like an audition, or the first person who wants to start writing? Like, what's your advice? It can be for either. It can be, if you want to give an advice just for the writing.
With me?
Can you hear me? No. Can you hear me, Shachar? CB, I need you.
Hey, Shachar, can you hear me? Okay.
Oh well.
It's a good time as any. That's a great question. Let me try to do this.
I think you're stuck.
Shachar, can you hear us?
Shachar, can you hear me? Shachar, can you see me?
I hear both of you, but I don't know if Shachar can hear us.
I don't know if he can hear me. That is so sad, because I wanted his advice.
I know. It's a great question. You've asked it to like every single person that's come on. It really is a great question to hear.
That's how I think we can all learn from it.
Yeah. Totally.
Oh well, that's annoying.
Well, maybe he'll come on soon. The sound will come back. We'll see. Anybody else who's watching?
Anyone else want to ask?
Or will be watching? I just want to let everybody know that tomorrow we're having Yael Valier here with Shlomit. She founded her own company, Theory and Theology. I've been in a few of her plays and done lighting for her. She's amazing, great director, great person. She's joining us tomorrow, and next week we have a full week of people joining Jet Live. We'll be putting those out on the Facebook page at on Friday, hopefully at the end of the week, and you'll be able to see on our website jetcommunity.org at the Jet Live everybody who's going to be joining us, and any videos that you haven't seen, you'll be able to see them there as well. That was awesome, Shlomit. Like Shachar, and the story of the show. I did that once actually. Him talking, like singing into the phone. I did that once with Andrew Beale a few times. A Song of Solomon. I'm like, oh, I have an idea for this piece, and so it's so cool, because that is how that is part of the process these days, especially with phones. You can just be like, I have an idea, and jot it down.
It's actually a very great way to, like, if you don't, like, I know that sometimes when I have a tune, it happens on Shabbos, I'm like, where's the phone where I can like record it? So that's how I remember how I created the Chadodi that I did. It like happened on the bus. I was like, okay, I have to start. And then like, you know, again, and then I was like trying to think, what will I do? What like, it's like nixing, putting more, and like again and again. But it's like all thanks to the recorder. So thank you for whoever invented it.
All the best. All the best thoughts I have for ideas happen on Shabbat.
Well, that's why we have Shabbos, so then God can taunt us over the fact we cannot record it.
I think it's because I'm just more relaxed and everything just comes out.
That might be it. Also, it's a very spiritual moment. Shabbos, it's like where you're more connected to yourself, to your being, to your thoughts.
Yep.
I'm really sad.
Shachar is reconnecting.
Hey guys.
Hey.
Shachar?
Yeah.
Okay. ¿Estás conmigo?
Can you hear me, see me now?
Yeah.
So I wrote you
back. Oh my God, I hate those difficulties. Yes, I'm here and I can hear
Okay,
you.
so we'll end with this last question and then
then we'll finish. So I also wrote you the question in the private chat just in case you don't hear me.
So
but
where did I lose you?
You lost.
I just explained who's Shlomi has a question, but I basically explained that we have Yael Valier coming tomorrow, and next week we have a full range of interviews. The whole slide is running. It's moving forward. And it was amazing to hear
about the beginning.
Your story.
Yeah.
I think to answer, if I had to tell myself what to do when I was younger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't hear the answer, Shachar. Sorry. Okay, that's annoying. Stevie, we lost him.
Oh, did he leave?
I think something went off.
Okay, maybe he misunderstood what I was saying. I think Shlomi, we will leave it at that, as he remembered when he was young. Unless if you have a way to try to figure out how to get him on quickly now.
I have no idea, but
so we're gonna end this now, end the Jet Live now. We'll see anybody tomorrow for Yael Valier. Toby, I love the Bananagram letters idea, and we'll hopefully get Shachar. You could let him know, Shlomit, if he wants to comment on this post what his answer is. That could work.
I'll try and write it to him. I'll try and write to him to do so.
And it was great. Thank you so much. It's amazing.
Like, no, Shachar is amazing.
The creativity in the world. The creativity in the world is just. Oh, here he is again.
Yay!
Just let's try this out.
Let's see if we can do it, because I really want to know his answer. Okay, Shachar, are you? Pablo Grida.
I'm with you.
Okay, as Mahel,
just answer the question. That's all.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just gonna go for it. Don't stop me. Here you go. So I think what I would say to myself when I was younger, is to read more, and seek answers more, not just from my teachers, which I love and I think they're brilliant, but they don't always know how to give you all the answers that you want. And there's so much work written about singing, performing, and really, really brilliant and life-changing material. So I really recommend reading, especially if you're an English speaker, that you have so much in front of you that is available to read. And today you have podcasts, you have YouTube, you have so many mediums that you can get information. And information is super, super important. So that's one thing. Second thing is just don't question yourself, just have fun, just enjoy it. And I would probably say to myself, go to study how to dance when you're younger, so you won't suffer from the pain for the whole year of your training in your masters. And I would say create a community around you of people that like to do what you do, like your community, which is the greatest community in Jerusalem, really. And I think together as a community we grow and we learn from each other. I think that's what you're doing now in this session. It's just so nice to be here with you, Shlomit, and be able to kind of like share my experiences and hear other people's experiences. I've listened to a few other interviews that you did and the CB did, and it was really, really great to hear and see. And just think big. Don't just think what's around me, but think a little bit further and where you can get. And the world is so small nowadays. I'm teaching people from all over the world, teach people from Israel, I teach people from Spain, teach people in Holland, I teach people from the States. I had a session with someone from Switzerland. It's, you know, we can get the information from so many different places in the world. The world is our oyster nowadays. So especially in Corona time, we're all at home, but we're talking with the world. So that's great, at least when our internet connection is working. So I do recommend trying to seek for answers and really do that. And listen to good music, different types of music. Don't judge music so quickly, and you never know where the inspiration will come from. You never know when you need to write a klezmer tune like I had to do. So I think this is also a really good point. Mm-hmm. And while you're at it, you can also listen to our album. So if you're curious to hear our musical, you can go on our website and hear the demo album for our show. Just a little plug, because, you know, that's what we're here for. And no, not really. I really do
that's
love
amazing.
it.
Shachar, I love you too.
And I hope that is a good answer to your last question.
That's
but I wish we did it again with the better internet connection, you know.
I'm looking forward to do it again with you. And I also suggest if you can put a link to the album in the comments, so whoever wants to listen to it could. That'll be amazing. Nah.
All right.
And then we'll finish.
That's it. We'll get that into the comments. We'll meet. You can speak to Shachar about it. He can get in there or whatever. That was an amazing way to end this.
It was a great tip. It was a really great advice.
Reading,
listening, exploring. Like,
keep an open mind.
Just mentors, not more. Exactly. Keep open mind.
And the one I love the most. Our community is amazing.
Shachar.
Thank you so much, Shlomit. I'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you, everyone who tuned in. Have a great night.
Have a good night. Bye, guys.
Bye.